Well, hello everybody. Good evening. Good evening. And this is DH Thorne coming at you live on another beautiful Thursday night in the middle of this wonderful burgeoning dystopia that we have building up all around us at all times. I hope you guys are enjoying every minute of the reason why you incarnated here in this timeline. And I hope you're prepared for the coming festivities, the way things are going. Sound is good. Excellent. All right. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Let's take a look at the chat and see who's here tonight. We have Kelly Meadows says good evening with a whole bunch of interesting symbols, including a full moon. Yes, I took part in that already, which is really important. There's certain things I do. Raquel Kelly says, good evening, DH. Super lovely Camilla. Good evening to all. What's up, Kelly? How are you, beautiful sister? George Coggins says, evening from Scrantonia. You mean Los Scrantos? Yeah, that's, you never know. I might still end up in that area. Jose Munoz says, what's up, DH Thorne? And Solora S says, hi. Good evening, everybody. Christian Heinekinian says, ooh, DH, is that the new logo? Might be a preview of something. We'll see. Trying to come up with my new, I don't know, branding, my new vision for the future of what I want to do. Yes, there's a very good chance that that has something to do with it, although I'm not quite finalized on it. But it is currently what I like, and it is very symbolic. If you share a similar understanding of symbolism, it could make sense to you. Ah, there we go. That's delicious. Starries. The diet fat guy version of like Mountain Dew without all the caffeine. And this is not a plug, so Starry, don't sue me. Alpha Draconian says, hello everyone. What's up, Alpha? Good to talk to you again, of course. Patchwork with the 2-spot right up front. Hi, brother. Hey, brother. What's up, Patchwork? Hopefully you're enjoying this dystopia. It is going to get more fun as we go along. This next year is really going to be exciting. I am probably going to be no longer using Twitter as of tonight. Elon just basically proved to everyone he was exactly what everybody thought. And the new terms of service allow them to basically scrape your phone for data and shit that they shouldn't have. Your key logging, your face recognition, your fingerprints. Basically, they'll be able to tell what you're typing. So your phone can pick up the vibration on a desk, and they can take the vibrations of that and figure out what you're typing and who's typing. Like, it's that sensitive. And Twitter is going to be collecting that data now if you have the app on your phone and you don't tell it no. And I'm not fucking around. I'm not giving these people any more than I already do. I'm sure I'm probably getting tracked with all of this stuff too. So we'll see. Whatever. Let's see. Let's get to everybody's hellos first. Yeah, okay, we're good. Jose Munoz says, one question, DH. When you visualizing during rituals and focus on the visualization, does the thing that you visualize actually become real in the astral plane? That's an interesting question. First of all, I've been putting a lot of thought into the question of real lately because this is where everybody gets screwed up. First and foremost, there is only one thing that is real. I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. There is only one thing that is real. Everything else is a manifestation or appearance or form that reality takes. So when you ask me, is XYZ real? We have a problem because the question is flawed. This thing which I call the divine, consciousness, Brahman, God, whatever your word for it is, whatever you want to call it, that is all that is real. In Eastern traditions, in fact, most traditions understand this thing to be what we refer to as consciousness, but not only consciousness. Consciousness is just its most relatable quality, not quality, nature, excuse me. The divine has no qualities. It has no attributes. It has no features, no form, no dimension. It simply is, and it has a nature. And of its nature, like it's got a unified nature. It is the divine. And part of that nature, the most relatable part of that nature, is consciousness, followed by existence and all of these other things. So consciousness in the metaphysical language simply refers to awareness. Simply refers to the fact that you are aware. It doesn't include thoughts. Those are manifestations of consciousness. It doesn't include feelings. Those are manifestations of consciousness. It doesn't involve physicality. That is a manifestation of consciousness. And the word manifestation simply means to reveal, to make apparent, to make visible, to take the form of. So there is the divine manifesting unto itself as all of this that we experience. And then it comes to localize and incarnate within that. Now, visualization is just a microcosmic form of the macrocosmic thing, the macrocosmic nature of the divine, which manifests this that we see. Right now, you are manifesting this reality almost like a dream. And that dream is a form that consciousness is taking. Now, when we say consciousness, there is a common flaw. People assume that when we say consciousness, we simply mean awareness unto itself. In other words, just that faculty that we call awareness. But that's not right either, because the divine is not comprehensible. No tradition beyond the Neo-Advaitin tradition of recent memory would dare say that the divine is just consciousness, because that gives you too much specificity. Because we all, as I can see by George, he says consciousness is awareness with cognition. There are all these definitions that we use colloquially to refer to that thing we call consciousness. You have the neurologist's definition of consciousness, which is really not consciousness. It's all about the superficial appearance of consciousness, which is ironic because consciousness has no superficial qualities. It is literally a negative in terms of what we're used to dealing with. It is more like a supremely divine feminine element or principle, which has no external attributes, no projected attributes, it doesn't look like anything, but it looks like everything. This is where people get hung up, because not many people transcend the delusions or illusions of materiality. So when they ask the question, if I visualize something, is it real in the astral? What is the astral even? And this is where you can tell where people are on their journey, because they will talk in terms of these things in dualistic language, and they will treat them as if they are material realities, as if the astral is a material reality, as if what you imagine is a material reality, when all it is a form that reality is taking. Absolute reality, there is a metaphor that is used where absolute reality is imagined to be like clay. So clay is real, but a pot that is made of clay, like a little jar made of clay, there is no jar. There is just clay that has taken the shape of a jar. Jars don't exist as objects in that way that we think of them. Jars are an ideal form, like Platonic forms. It's an ideal form which the clay assumes. And so we say there's a jar there, but there isn't. There's only clay there in the form of a jar. That isn't to say that the ideal form of a jar isn't a real essence that is within the divine, because the divine is the essence of all things. The divine is what manifests as all things, and it can only do that if it is the essence of all things, thus it can take the form of them. Think of it like a Rorschach ink blot. When you look at a Rorschach ink blot, there's no butterfly there. There's no demon face there. There's no whatever you see there. It's literally just a random splotch of ink. And within that splotch of ink is the pattern which you will recognize as a butterfly. And the pattern that we call butterfly, what we think of, if I say visualize a butterfly, what you visualize is not a butterfly. You're visualizing a manifestation of a butterfly. The essence of a butterfly, the ideal of a butterfly, doesn't look like anything. The reality of a butterfly looks like nothing at all. It simply manifests as what we see. And this is why everybody up to a certain level is getting it wrong. So as we ask these questions, as we look and say, if I imagine a giant purple dildo in the astral realm and hand that to Zeus, did I literally just hand Zeus a giant purple dildo? Is that real? Is that his new lightning bolt he's going to hurl at my enemies? No. Because you just visualized it. You just manifested an appearance of it. To do that, you had to connect to the ideal essence of that idea and manifest it as a visual thing. Now, this leads to a nihilistic perspective. When people, so level 0 understanding is there's an astral realm and there's gods and they're all, you treat them just like you treat me, you, and everything else. And that's fine to do. I'm not telling you not to do that. You have to understand that powerful metaphysics. What's up, Trope? Good to see you. You have to understand that genuine metaphysics is just like physics. Because physics, the essence of physics is invisible. A good scientist will tell you, one who's really knowledgeable and isn't a dogmatic moron, like 99% of them, by the way, will tell you that everything that we experience is just a dream in your mind. This is why quantum physicists don't necessarily piss me off, even though they get a lot wrong, in my opinion. They get a lot right too. But when it comes to the metaphysics of reality, they're completely wrong. They're right about how physicality looks and manifests. Yes, they're right when they say, you know, that blue light is 440 hertz on kilohertz on the spectrum and blah, blah, blah. They're right about all that shit. Those are measurements. These are things they've determined. But the essence of what they're measuring, they have no idea what it is. A good physicist will tell you that. A bad physicist will tell you we're measuring space-time or energy or this kind of shit. All of those things are just things that the mind creates as icons. This is why I like people like Donald Hoffman and Bernardo Kastrup, because they're straddling that divide between science and spirituality very well. That doesn't mean they get it all right. It just means they're doing important work. So the physicist is studying what they can measure. And what they measure is not reality. They're measuring the phenomenon that reality manifests as. Think of it this way. If you go to sleep tonight and you have a dream about reality and you take a ruler and measure something in your dream, did you measure anything real? Sit with that for just a minute and think. Sit with that just for a moment and really think about it. When you go to sleep tonight, if you have a dream that you're sitting there with a ruler and measuring things, did you measure anything real? What did you measure? This is where people get stuck, because all of you, not all of you, but a majority of you listening to me, some of you I know better, but a lot of you guys listening to me have not transcended the experiential simulacrum of reality that you're experiencing right now. You take for granted that this is real the way it looks, but it's not. Now, if you transcend this all the way, if you transcend this, even just one level up, we'll say 2 levels. You get past the gross physical, you get past the energy, level. Remember, these are just thought forms. The body is a thought form. The world is a thought form. You don't realize that because you're just so immersed in it. A good neurologist will tell you flat out that your experience of reality is not truthful to what it is. It's a representation that your mind imagines for you. You've never seen that which causes this in itself. You've never seen, I'm talking just from the physical. I'm not talking metaphysical right now. I'm going back 15 years when I was a hardcore skeptic. I knew this then. This wasn't new to me. Everything I'm telling you right now is what I already knew when I didn't believe in anything, when I didn't know anything, when I hadn't really achieved any non-dual, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Back then, I knew completely that the reality I was seeing was a dream that my brain was having. My dream of reality is a projection of what my brain thinks it should look like. Now, that's the materialistic explanation, is that there's a material world and I'm a body with a brain, and my brain receives this sensory input and then dreams this experience based on the stimulus from my senses. But that requires a major assumption, and that assumption is that the things we're dreaming about have actual analog physicality inspiring them. So when I pick up an object, I've done this on stream many times. I pick up this can of soda. Am I picking up a can of soda? No, there's no can of soda here. There's an icon for whatever the noumenal reality is that inspires my mind to generate the apparition of a soda can with all of the sensory input. This is why when you dream, you can have sensations. They're usually muted. I don't know if you've ever noticed. They're not always muted, but they're usually muted. So like if I take my hand and I chop it off in a dream, I feel something. I feel a pinch. I feel pain, but it's not pain that makes my eyes bleed with tears, okay? It's just ow, that, and you know what? How many of you guys have really hurt yourself in a dream and thought it was kind of funny that it didn't hurt that bad? I've literally put in my dreams, deleted, literally felt it like splatter in my dreams. And I just felt like I hit my head. That's all it felt like. Like it didn't hurt. I felt an impact, but that's it. There was no actual pain. Like there was discomfort, but it wasn't pain. Like there was like a slap feeling. So it's all really, really, really subdued. Why do you think spirits enjoy being called into us with possession? Because they get to participate in the visceral material delusion. Read your Hermetica, read your different traditions. They often say the same things or similar things, that the material world, why do you think people become ascetic? Because the material world is so rich in sensuality, in feelings, in intense experiences, that it becomes addictive to the soul. The soul doesn't want to let go of it. It wants to keep having this. You can go on, so watch the movie What Dreams May Come. When you watch that movie, you go, holy crap, I want to be that. I want to go there. I want to go to that afterlife. What if I told you that, yes, that is a possibility, but while you're there, the richness of experience might not be what it is here? What if I told you you could see all that, but the sensations would be dulled a little bit? Now, some people who have a near-death experience that go to the other side, they say that their senses are more vivid again. So it's possible that while we're incarnate, we can't have that experience. But I don't know about that, because it seems like a lot of traditions tell us that this layer of experience, it's not a layer of reality, it's a layer of experience. This is not, instead of, this is one of the problems with the way metaphysics often showed. It's often showed in the old manuscripts as if there's this world, then a layered world on top of it, like a hierarchy, like there's a physical stratification to it. There is no physical stratification involved. Those are planes of conscious or states of conscious awareness. It's like tuning in and out of different television stations. And this is where we get the metaphor that people take literally of frequency and vibration. People take these literally as if God is vibrating and God is a frequency. Holy fuck, that's dumb. No, you just defined God as a rubber band that's vibrating? No. The divine cannot be defined at all. It is utterly enigmatic and incomprehensible to a degree that would blow your mind if you really thought about it. It is both all things and no things. You cannot define it. So when we say we're tuning into it or we're raising our vibration or any of that, that's a metaphor that people take literally, and in taking it literally, you're like a Christian who takes the Bible literally. You are missing out on the depth that it really contains. The esoteric side of spirituality is none of these superficial things that so many of you guys get hung up on. The New Age, believe it or not, is not esoteric, it's exoteric. The New Age movement is an exoteric movement. Esoteric movements, esoteric traditions don't make those mistakes. Not in the inner circles, they don't. And this is where people get completely screwed up. They take all of these things as literal that they experience. They think that all of these objects are real objects when really they're just a form that the divine is taking right now, like a piece of clay. Imagine God or the divine is an infinite block of clay with absolutely no boundary or edge. It's just infinitely large. Now imagine that block of clay is sentient, it's magical, and can become anything it wants, like Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And it can assume any shape and any color, anything it wants. So if it assumes the form of a can of soda, is it a can of soda? No, it's still just a block of clay. So what's the astral world? What's God? What's Zeus? What's an orange, purple, rainbow colored dildo that I hand to Zeus? It's just the power of imagination, creating an interface for you. That power of imagination is the same power that God has, manifesting all of this. And this is so difficult because it is so alien to how all of us live our lives, isn't it? None of you, just about. I'm willing to bet virtually none of you, maybe one out of all of you, maybe. Of course, George, I'm just using a metaphor with the clay. I'm not saying God's clay. I'm saying clay is a good analogy. Everybody knows what clay is. So yes, you're right. You would call it, I wouldn't even call it material. The divine is not material. The divine is not immaterial. It's neither. The divine is the divine. And we keep trying to classify it and mold it into what you cannot take the divine, the spiritual, and put it into neat little boxes like we can in the material world. And honestly, if we're being honest, you can't do that with material world either. If a scientist is being utterly honest with you, they will tell you that everything that they're talking about is a thought form. When they say that time and space is this and that, these are just ideas that we have. They're just diagrammatical thought forms. That's all they are. They're useful. They're accurate, but they're not reality. They're the map. This is what disgusts me with modern scientists. Modern scientists have become so dogmatically self-assured. They're lying to you. They have mistaken the maps that they're drawing of reality for the reality itself. Most of them don't know they're lying to you. Go back 200 years ago, some of them did. Reality is, when we say ineffable, that means you can't describe it. It is also incomprehensible, which is basically description of the mind. The divine has no, let me repeat, no attributes, no qualities, no properties, no shape, no form, no substance. The divine is reality, and it manifests as those things because it has nature. Its nature, well, many traditions will tell you it's consciousness, which is fine. The problem is you can't limit it to our conception of consciousness, or you're just stumbling in the dark again. That's when you become nihilistic. Oh, it's just consciousness. It's all an illusion. There's nothing but consciousness. What's the point? I might as well transcend this and never come back. That's a nihilistic ego trap. And the masters know that. The highest level masters know this. They know that the nihilism that follows is a test. If you become nihilistic and act like this is a bullshit universe and you don't want to live in it anymore, you didn't get it. You are still trapped in it. To truly transcend this is to have a lucid experience of it, to become lucid, to have a lucid dream of reality, not a reality that you are lost in, to realize that it is a lucid dream. This is a lucid dream if you wake up. If you have an enlightenment experience, this is a lucid dream. I live life like it's a lucid dream. And every once in a while, I get a glimpse of what it's like beyond the dream. And it just reinforces that realization that this is a dream in the mind of God, and I am that God, and so are you. It is all the divine dreaming it is not. Each one of you is God dreaming it's not God. And that God is, it is both, divinity is both divine without attributes, and then it can have attributes as an appearance, and then the divine can have even manifested gross phenomenology like we see. In other words, the divine is both impersonal, personal, and incarnate. It's all three. That's why every ancient tradition has a big three at the top, doesn't it? The Trimurti, Maiden Mother Crone, salt, sulfur, and mercury, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, on and on and on and on and on and on. Ein Sof, Ein, and what is it? Ein Sof, Ein, and Ein Sof So it's the same. But when we say the divine is consciousness, we can't say that as if it limits it to just that notion. There is also intelligence. Now, when I say intelligence, I don't mean analytical 1 + 1 = 2 logical intelligence. I'm talking about a more abstract form of intelligence. A more intuitive, spontaneous form of intelligence, which isn't about logical reasoning. It is more like, well, to be brutally honest, at this level of reality, it looks like quantum probability. We say, how does an electron know to do this? How do photons know how do they decide to become to look like a particle or a wave? Because that is a manifestation of the intelligence. The natural laws that we think we see are a manifestation. But the intelligence itself transcends those appearances. It has no attributes. It has no qualities. It has no form, no function, no substance. The absolute form of intelligence doesn't equate to what we down here think of as the intellect, the reasoning part of our brain. That's not intelligence. Intelligence is knowing that that is correct. Intelligence is when you do 2 + 2 and see it says 4 and then know intuitively that that's right. That's intelligence. Intelligence is not knowing that 2 + 2 = 4. It's knowing that that is correct. It transcends the formula. It transcends the notation. It transcends the reasoning. It is literally an intuitive gnosis. But the divine is not just consciousness or intelligence. It's also that essence that manifests as everything. The inspirational essence, pure information, if you will, for a more modern term. Pure information before it manifests and have any meaning. It's just potential. That is what inspires all that you see. But that alone is not it too. The divine is also a kind of will or love. And in my vernacular, that's the same word. Love and will are the same thing. They're not separate ideas, but they manifest to us as a yin-yang flow of the Tao. We love and we will to love and we love to will. They're yin-yang, they're the same thing. And if I ever figure out a good word for it that's not taking from another tradition, I will, but you could just call it the Tao. And in us, it manifests as desire, as intention, as drive, as urges. But the ego distorts all of this. And so our true will and love, our true will and intention, our true love and will are warped in our expression, in our ego. So we think, oh, I love that. That must be my will. I really want to be a millionaire. It's my will to be a millionaire. No. Your will is inevitable. If it's truly your will, it will happen. Nothing can stop it. The divine's will is always done. You ever heard, thy will be done? It's inevitable. But down here in the trenches of this illusion, it manifests as the yin-yang polarity of energy. It manifests as passion and love and anger and drive and all of those things. It manifests as the processes of the body that seem energized by the material substances that carry energy within them, and we have no idea what that is. What is energy? Oh, science, what is energy? It's now most of you guys, if I asked you what is energy, most of you guys would say something stupid like a lightning bolt, a sound wave, a kinetic push. No, those are just manifestations of energy. Energy, well, scientifically speaking, this is energy taking the form of matter. Baryonic matter is energy. It's physical substance. This is why in every tradition you have the gross physical, then you have the energy body, and then you have this kind of mental image of things. And energy permeates both of those layers. The mind directs energy. The mind, the intellect the mind is like air. It's like wind, not the intellect, but the mind, the mental image. It's like wind blowing on water, and the water is a forceful thing that crashes into the rocks, and the rocks take shape. So they're all interconnected. They're all one thing. So I know I've sort of already answered your question, Jose, but I'm going to keep going because this has to be beaten to death. All of you guys listening to me, you have to have this beaten out of your brain. I mean that in the nicest possible way. I don't mean that nasty. This has to be beaten out of your mind. Everybody here listening to me, you have to get over the Matrix. Think of it like the movie The Matrix. Every single one of you guys is in the equivalent of the Matrix. It's just not a computer matrix. It's a mental matrix of God, which you are. Every single one of you is trapped in the Matrix by your own will. It's not against your will. If you're listening to me, it probably means you're trying to wake up. If you're listening to Alan Watts, same story, or any of these other guys, same story. Any qualified spiritual teacher or guru, you're listening to them because you're trying to wake up. And this is how you do it. Just like in a lucid dream. Usually it doesn't just happen. Usually something's got to happen and you get a clue. Oh, I'm dreaming? If I was dreaming, I should be able to, oh, I just did. Oh, I'm dreaming. So it's usually a process. At least it appears as such. So everybody here, you're in the Matrix. And so you think that the spirit world is like the Matrix because it's all you know, but it's not. Now, here's some inside baseball. When you do transcend the material world, you still have recognizable experiences because your mind, your psyche, continues to generate recognizable iconography. But that doesn't mean it's what it looks like. So if you die or you take a huge hit of whatever and you go off into La La Land and you see the spirit world, it's going to look exactly like what you imagine it to look like. You're going to see things that look like people, things that look like psychedelic patterns, machine elves, and all of this shit. But that's still not what it is. That's just an icon so that you can relate to it. This is why it's called internal, esoteric. You go inward. And every one of us still has a subjective experience of it. So, what do we mean by is it real? Let's make this a better question. Instead of saying is it real, if I imagine something in the astral, is it real? Don't get that out of your mind. Let's rephrase the question. If I imagine it in the astral, is it objective? What does that mean? Well, something subjective means only you see it that way. Something objective is something that two or more people can confirm is there, and their report of it is similar enough that we can say that their consensus agrees that it's like that. So if all of us go into a room with a candle lit, and we sit and we observe that room for a few minutes and we come back out and somebody asks us, we would all describe pretty much the same candle. You might see a different side of it, but a good person listening to your stories will be able to say, oh, okay, they were just seeing different sides of the same thing. There is a candle there. That doesn't tell you exactly what the candle looks like. Why? Because you weren't there. My description of it doesn't make you see the candle. Even if I took a picture of it, you're not seeing the candle, you're seeing a simulacrum of it. So what do we mean by something that's objective versus subjective? Is the astral objective or subjective? It can be both and neither. You can go into your own private astral, which is completely subjective to you. And then there's also objective versions of it. Did you know that? Now, me personally, I've never had the pleasure of an objective astral experience. That is to say, where I've interacted with someone that I can confirm in this world, in this plane, is the same. I can only get, I shouldn't say I've never had, I should say what I've had was inconclusive. So when you're asking me, Jose, if I imagine something in the astral, is it real? The real question is not, is it real or not? Because it's still made of reality, even if it's not real in itself. Just like the cup made of clay, it's a real clay cup, but the cup comes second. The cup is hierarchically not real. It's still there. There's still something there. So if you visualize it in the astral, that's a real experience. And experiences are by their own nature made of reality. So what you're asking is it objective in the sense that if I imagine it in the astral, could some other entity find it there? Well, if we trust that the entities that we experience in those places are not just figments of our imagination, that there's sentience there. Thank you, Secret Knowledge 75. Nice comment. We aren't seeing a candle, we're seeing wax in the form of a candle. See, that's how I know he's paying attention. Thank you, honey. I'm just on a roll. The question is, if I imagine something in the astral, is it objective to other observers? And that I would say it depends, because you can even have your own private little pocket astral universe. Did you know that? What do you think a dream is? Think, guys. What do you think a dream is? That's your own pocket dimension in the astral. It can be anything you want. That's what it is. So, and Atropa says, I've had shared dreams. Well, there you go. Your little pocket astral might have just connected to somebody else's like a little bubble. Now, I'm talking dualistically, but you have to realize that even that, there's a non-dual element to it. They're not actually separated. There's only ignorance of their connection. You don't realize how they're connected. So even though I say you can have your own private little dream astral, that little pocket dream astral, you're only ignorant of the fact that there may be a lot of other beings there watching it. And really, it's all the same divine watching everything, which is what you are. This is where it gets broken down. This is why the language breaks down. At some point, as you climb the tree of life, as you climb the hierarchy, the spheres, and you get eventually language completely breaks down and you cannot explain it in a way that makes sense. But every tradition worth its salt will tell you that this is the least real of all the realities. It just feels the most real because it's more sensual to us. The sensuality of it makes it feel real. It makes it feel more real. Let me give you an example. If you close your eyes and completely relax, and there's no tension, there's no pain or anything, and you feel a little bit of a sensation, like maybe your clothes shift a little and you feel your clothes shift on your body. Okay. That feels a certain way. Now, what if I come up and smack you? Which feels more real? Clearly, that smack across your face is going to feel way more real than the little shifting of your clothing. They'll both feel real, but which one's going to take your attention? Which one's going to really grab you? It's not the little movement of your clothing. It's going to be the slap. You're going to fixate on that slap. That's more real to you. Likewise, the material world, it's not a world, it's just the most intense form of experience of reality. In Expert Zenial says it's the heaviest reality in the sense that heaviness means it's the most sensual. Yes, exactly. And so we fall down into this and we go, this feels amazing because pleasure and pain both are amazing experiences. It's sadomasochistic. You're a sadomasochistic God. You just don't know it. So you take it for granted like a slap in the face, like it's real. You feel like this is more real than the astral because it's more intense. Try it on yourself. Close your eyes. Just relax for a minute and just, once you feel totally numb a little bit, like get that numb feeling you get when you're starting to just relax, and then just like play with your clothes. Okay, you feel that. Now clap your hands. Which felt more real? They both felt real, but which felt more real? The clap, obviously. So the astral is more muted. Remember what I said about your dreams? You still feel things. It just doesn't feel as real, does it? Doesn't feel as intense. And as you get closer to the source, as you transcend closer to what you are, sensations diminish until it all becomes bliss. That is why every tradition tells you that union with the divine is ecstatic and blissful. Because all of that sensation, the intensity, is exchanged for something that's transcendent, that just feels like perfect peace and bliss. That's heaven. That's what the Christians refer to as heaven. They just think it's a place. They think it's a physical location somewhere in the astral world or something. But that doesn't mean you can't have a physical experience of it either. I'm not saying you can't. There are layers of consciousness which can look like heaven and feel like heaven. No question. And there's also some that can be like hell. And you can go there. You can go there as a visitor, you can go there as a resident, or you can go there as a worker. And a lot of you guys go there all the time, and you don't even know it. Thorne, my dog died. It was the light of my life. I feel like shit. You're in hell. That's a version of hell. So the nihilism steps in when you start looking at this and going, well, that means if this isn't reality, I need to eject from it and only associate with real reality, because that's an ego trip. The ego doesn't want the delusion because the ego wants the most, it wants to be real. It wants the best that it can get. So it says, well, this isn't real. And so that demotes it. The ego says, well, then that's not good enough. I want the reality. And so you get nihilistic. You go, well, I'm just going to reject this. Ugh. For years, I've been just battling with that kind of mentality in others, but also sometimes myself. There are times when I am literally feeling nihilistic like that because I realize, well, this is just an illusion. It's all just consciousness and blah, blah, blah. Well, I should just be consciousness then. And then I catch myself and go, come on, dummy. You're God manifesting this because this is what you truly intend. This is great. Why are you trying to get rid of it? That's why that's what the Gnostics got wrong. The Gnostics got wrong. They dualized everything. I still love the Gnostic metaphor. You gotta take the Gnostic metaphor and make it non-dual, and then it makes sense again. But the Gnostic metaphor is that this is a prison. You got to escape. This is hell. This is blah, blah, blah. It's very nihilist. It's very depressing. That's not true at all. Look at any master of any liberation ontology, a Zen master or whatever. They love life. They fucking love it. But if you said it's over, they're happy to let it go too. And they're not faking it. You can hook up electrodes to their brains and you can confirm that they are in a place of joy all the time. All right, I think I made my point. I'm going to go up now. Secret Knowledge 75 gave me a beautiful 1999, and he said, thanks, DH. You are welcome, Secret Knowledge 75. An awesome addition comment you made later on, by the way. Gage the Mage says, drop a like if you haven't, peeps. Much love, Thorne. Yeah, thank you, Gage the Mage. I appreciate that so much. Give us a like, everybody. I appreciate it. Jason, what's up? Jason just gave us a clapping doge dog saying bravo. You know, we haven't seen a Astarte in a while. We haven't seen a Astarte in a while with the fisting hippo. It's been a while since we got a fisting hippo. Tactical fisting hippo. Yeah. So someone who has really achieved liberation and has transcended the mortal delusion realizes that this is like a shadow puppet show on a wall. The allegory of Plato's cave is so misunderstood by philosophers. Not that they get it all wrong, because a lot of the things that they say are true. But they miss a layer of that metaphor, of that allegory, that it's really sad to me that they don't get. It's so blatantly obvious to me. Plato wasn't just making a metaphor or a allegory trying to explain to people the difficulty of getting people to see the truth in life. See, this is what gets me going. This is what gets me angry. Because once you have penetrated the secrets and started to realize what they're telling you, you can now look at the world and see how they're lying to you. Half of them don't even know they're doing it because they've been lied to. It's generational indoctrination to the point where most of these people don't know they're wrong, or they don't know why they're wrong, or they don't know that they're regurgitating a lie that was put into society to keep you from waking up. Because the powers that be want you in this cave. Why? Well, that's where it gets interesting. Because ultimately the divine is a sadomasochistic being. It is utterly free. It has no morality. It has compassion and love for everything. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong for a sheep to be eaten by a wolf. And if it's right for a sheep to be eaten by a wolf, Jason and I were talking about this today. If it's natural for a wolf to eat a sheep, it is also natural for a darker being to feast upon your energy, to torture you, to make you angry, to lower your energy, to make you feel like crap and feed off of that. That is also valid. And the divine, this is good fun. Let's watch that play out. And so the powers that be in the physical realm, most of them, well, we'll say all of the ones that are really controlling things, they really know that. In Expert Zenial, you are that. There is no it outside of you that is not that. You are that being I'm talking about. That being that's a sadomasochistic puppeteer. You're that. You are that. This is the puppet. This is the puppet. You are the one, ultimately, you're the divine pulling all of these strings. You're doing that, and then you have put yourself into it. You are the microcosm incarnate as, you're the macrocosm incarnate as the microcosm. You're both sides of the equation. So it's not that it doesn't give a shit about you. It loves you. And it loves watching you go through life. Do you not love watching? You may not like what you see, but do you not love watching it? Everyone who goes, oh, I hate my life. I want to die and blah, 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 blah. Okay. You reject the experiences, but not the experience of experience itself. People go, well, I just want to go to the void. I just want to disappear and I don't want to exist anymore. That's the ego talking. That's the puppet talking. Consciousness ain't going to stop. Consciousness is the divine, and it's going to keep doing this over and over forever. It never stops. This is why every esoteric tradition, part of, like if you read the Golden Dawn, you do their rituals. All of them put you in the position of, you know, Yad Vev Havev. All of them. You become God in the ritual. All of them. Because you're transcending the mortal delusion. If you go deep enough into the right trances and you do the rituals right, you're it. And you're watching you do the ritual. Sometimes you don't even know what you're doing. You're just watching it. It's a kind of detachment, but it's not a psychosis kind of detachment. It's a spiritual detachment. When you're enlightened, you don't give a shit about this either in that sense. You still love it and you still want what's best for it, but it's like playing a video game. If your character falls off a cliff in a video game, it's annoying, but it doesn't ruin your life. So take a step up and be like, how does your soul feel about your body? Well, it would rather it not fall into a meat grinder and get ground up slowly and painfully, but if that happens, oh well, I'll just incarnate as somebody else. Like, it sucks, but it ain't the end of me. I'm going to keep going. But that being has no identity of its own. Identity is an illusion. But it does have consciousness, intelligence, fundamental or ideal essence. It has love and will, and it has existence. And so it loves and wills. It loves and wills to incarnate as this, as that, as everyone else, to put the mask on and live a life because it's fun. This is the difference, left and right-hand path. Right-hand path is, I want to become God through submission. Left-hand path is, I know I'm God, and I'm just gonna do what I do. In Expert Xennial, that's just part of the story you're writing for yourself. I'm not saying that to dismiss your experience, rather to illuminate you to what you did. You can break that instantaneously, but only if you know what you are. If you know what you are, it's literally just, yeah, whatever. It's that simple. You can't sell that which you are. You can't sell that. You can go through the motions, you can sign the pact, and you can keep to the pact. But you can turn away from that instantly, easily. The only penalty is what you impose on yourself. I like that, Hecka. Forget about it. That's the left. Forget about it. It's all good. Do as thou will, motherfucker. Expert Xennial, you're taking it too literally. I mean, you can do that. That's part of your game. It's fine. That's the game of the divine. It can do whatever it wants. So you can have the experience of you needed to do that and now you need to stay that way. But that's just a game you're playing and it's fine. I'm not criticizing the game. If you're enjoying it, by all means, keep playing it. Trust me, don't read me wrong here. I'm just trying to, I'm a light bringer. Understand that as a light bringer, my job is to literally be like shining a light on your delusions so that you can see what they are. And if you can't see it, I can't help you much. If people come here expecting me to sound like a superstitious person, saying, you better be careful, don't piss off that God and go worship that thing, and you got to throw salt up over your shoulder. That's other people. That's other people. You can play that game. I play it too. It's fun, but that's all it is. It's a game. At the highest level, you get to that 33rd degree, you get to that inner order, you get to that deep, deep gnosis. It's always the same story every time. This is not real the way you see it. So you can have that adventure. I'm not discouraging you. Believe me. All I'm saying is my advice to you is to know that that's what it is. When you know it's a game, you can play it that much more fun. But there's a certain fun in getting lost in the game, right? That's why you're doing it. There's nothing wrong with being lost in the game. So if you want to be lost in the game and you want to believe that there is a literal eldritch being that you owe your soul to, and if you don't do it, something's going to happen and you're getting a benefit, that's fine. But you run the risk of, it's like psychosis. You run the risk then of prosecuting it in a way that, think of it this way. There's a lot of drugs that are fun, right? Alcohol, whatever. It's a lot of fun. You have every right to drink yourself to death, but there is consequence. So while you are here in the phenomenal realm, taking it literally, then you are subject to consequence. When you've transcended the phenomenal realm, consequence is no longer happening to you. It's happening to your avatar. And that avatar, you can just brush aside. Now, if I'm standing on a train track and a train is coming, I'm going to step out of the way because me personally, I'm not so enlightened that I don't care if a train runs me over. In fact, I've never met any being that was. I've never even heard of one. Even the Buddha got out of the way of falling stones and shit. Becoming enlightened doesn't make you a doormat for reality. It just means that you no longer take it seriously, spiritually speaking. You no longer lose your lunch when things go duff. You don't suffer it. You experience it, you don't suffer it. And you still act according to the nature of this incarnation. If it is in the nature of this incarnation to fight for its life, you will witness that. But you are not what's fighting for its life. What you are cannot die, cannot be taken away, cannot be sold into slavery, cannot be destroyed. None of it. Ever. It is immortal. It is omnific in every way. So none of this are you beholden to. None of your pacts, none of your this, none of your that. It's all a choice you're making, and you're welcome to make that choice. But make that choice from a place of actual knowledge. Make that from a place of true gnosis, so that you're aware of what that choice really means. If you know that you're God manifesting this idea that you've sold yourself to another thing, and that's just a game you're playing, and you know that, just mwah, chef's kiss. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let me scroll around. And I may end up going a little short tonight. At least we're not getting screwed over with the censorship like last week. Speaking of which, I think I started off saying I'm not going to be using Twitter anymore for anybody who follows me on Twitter. If I use it, it'll probably be like I won't be logged in, and I'll probably just be using it to look at shit, just to watch certain topics that are like current events that are important to me. But I don't really care for it anymore. It's so toxic there, so shitty. I'm sure none of you use it. I think only 1 or 2 people I know of use it. And see, just so you know, this is me getting down in the phenomenal. This is me taking it literally. This is me taking it real. As the divine, none of this matters. In other words, it doesn't matter in the sense that it ultimately matters. I can play on Twitter and enjoy it and not care. Raquel, I actually have to cut my hair. I'm letting it grow again, but I actually like it like jaw length when it's down. Like right now it's hanging too low and I don't like it. That's why it's been up so much. But my beard's getting longer. I don't know. At some point I'm going to stop growing it. I still want the Fu Manchu thing, but I don't think I'll ever get it because my hair's too curly. My beard hair's it's a little too curly. I wish it was like straight like my head hair. Justin asks, is there anything positive going on in the world? In the world, I'm sure there's plenty of positive things, but if you're tuned into what's really going on, it's hard to be positive unless you know the deeper truth, which, well, how does it go in Men in Black? There's always a Corellian battle cruiser ready to blow us up. There's always something, but here's the deal. What I was just saying about knowing your divinity changes your perspective of all of this. There are days when I am absolutely depressed about what's going on in the world. Then there's days I realize I incarnated here to watch this and participate in it. Is this not the most epic nail biter, short of like being in a disaster movie like, I don't know, Deep Impact or something. If you're in the middle of that, that's a little bit more of a nail biter than this. But believe it or not, if you know what I know, it kind of is Deep Impact. It kind of is Armageddon. It is basically that, just minus the asteroid. If you guys are really tuned into what's really going on, you know that we're literally watching the equivalent of that. It just doesn't look like it because the powers that be don't want you to see it that clearly. Well, some do. Some are trying to get you to see it now. And that's why it's getting crazier. That's why so many things keep buckling. I don't really feel like talking about that stuff tonight, but I will leave it at this. Same thing I've been saying to you guys all along. This ain't going to be over. The hard part's not going to be over till 25, 26. It may even get harder, but the hard part's not going to be over till around then. And it's going to get harder and harder and harder till then. Your money might become worthless. The internet might go down. They may take an attempt on Trump's life. You may see a mushroom cloud or two. This is a biblical time of human history. What is happening over the last couple years, going on till the end of the 21st, to the start of the 22nd century, really. This is I wouldn't be surprised if they put another year 0 starting around now. That's how big this is. This is like having another year 0. The changes that are coming, the outpourings, there's going to be a time it's going to be like before, I don't want to say before Trump or something, but it's like that, okay? I don't mean like Trump. I just mean, I don't know what else to say. Before New World Order, after, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Now, and it's funny, Expert Zenial brings up about timelines. There is a timeline split always. Every moment is one. But that's from the physical perspective. But let's play with the physics. So from down here in the phenomenal perspective, in the incarnate perspective, timelines are always splitting off. But there is a major timeline fork in the road that's been going on for the last, I don't know, couple of years. And assuming that I see things clearly, if you're here hearing the sound of my voice the way it is, and it's the same, you're going to be going into the better timeline. But this is a major split. There's one that goes into total dystopia, and there's one that goes into gradually less dystopia into a golden age or a silver age. Now, the silver age might be after us. It may not happen during our lifetimes, but the initial start of it is coming, and you'll see some of that. You'll at least see a relief from what you're seeing right now. Hype, yes. Double fisting hippo. We got double fisting hippo from Jason. Double fisting hippo. That's not tactical fisting hippo, but that does. I like the fisting hippos. I don't put any stock in the Hadron Collider thing, Hecka, but yeah. Why not? I mean, they seem to think some mystical shit was happening. They have their whole what is it? They have a statue of Kali. So, yeah. In Expert Zenial, that was already done. Look up the Shadowgate. Actually, you won't be able to find it very easily. Shadowgate project was a project I conducted in early 2020, and anybody who's paying attention knows that that's when everything became obvious. Like, there was a bunch of us doing it. I don't want to take all the credit, but we did this thing called the Shadowgate project. You can ask Shadow Doc. About 23 people. I organized it, set it up. We did this thing called the Shadowgate project. We quite literally opened the shadow gates around the world to reveal basically humanity's collective shadow to itself. And that's why it looks so crazy, because the great outpouring is beginning. I knew it was coming. I was like, let's catch this wave. And we opened the shadow gates, and that's why everything's going ballistic, because that veil that shrouds you from seeing your own shadow and civilization in general, that has been utterly rent asunder, and it's becoming more and more and more and more obvious all the time. Ultimately, though, it's up to humanity what to do with that. They can put it right back into darkness if they want. And the goal of the lightbringer is not to cause the change. It's to shed a light on delusion, and then lead that horse to water. Will it drink? It's up to the horse. And unfortunately, there's no way to reveal it all. The average person, this is one thing that the ascended masters are right about. Although we see it as like a nefarious thing. They're right that the average human being is not, they're physically evolved, but they're not spiritually evolved enough to see the truth. They're not ready to. That's why, think of it this way. In the animal kingdom, there's only a few species that can recognize themselves in a mirror, correct? So you have humans, I think, dolphins. There's like a handful of animals in the animal kingdom that if you show them a mirror will recognize their own reflection. There is a spiritual analog of that. Humanity is an interesting species. I don't think it's genetic, but some people would argue that it is. That not everybody is capable of recognizing the divine in all things. So the analog is, in the animal kingdom, only certain animals can recognize their own reflection. In a spiritual sense, only certain incarnate beings can recognize the divine in themselves and in all things. So it's like spiritually, they're more evolved. It's an analog, it's not literal, but that's the best I can do linguistically. There is a spiritual evolution. There's a level where you can recognize the divine in all things as the self and as the other. That is like looking in a mirror and recognizing the self, but you see it in everything else. So when you're looking into that mirror that you call somebody else, if you see somebody else and you don't see an expression of yourself as that other self, you still don't quite see it. And it's hard to do. I don't do it all the time. There's plenty of times I look at things and be like, fuck you, dude. You know? And then there's times where I go, that's me in another form. Oh shit. Like I can see it. Not me, Thorne, me consciousness, me God. See, an expert Zennial, I think my style's too Zen. Like we're talking two different languages, but we're kind of talking about the same thing, I guess is what I'm saying. Is I come from a more Zen spectrum of this, meaning I don't like all of the fluff. To me, the fluff is a problem because people confuse these dualistic linguistics of eldritch this and divine that and veils and infernals and all of those are real experiences. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying they're not. But just like this is a real experience but isn't really a cup of soda, the eldritch beings, they look like eldritch beings, but they're not really eldritch beings. And so from a more Zen perspective, I like to clear away the clutter. I like to clear, like, it's sort of like, all right, some people like to see their lover in a wild outfit, right? They like them to wear leather and all kinds of cool shit. And other people just like to see their lover naked. Well, I like to see my lover naked. Like, the clothes are fun, but give me the naked. Give me the reality. Give me the essence of it. So I come from a more Zen perspective. And this is why, like, I can get a little, not combative, not even argumentative, just assertive about these things. Because you may not know this. In fact, I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you don't know this. I used to sound just like you 30 years ago. That's not to say I've evolved beyond you. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying 30 years ago, I had the exact same kind of dialogue with someone who said the same stuff to me. Yes, I was saying it differently. I was talking about angels and shit, but I had the exact same kind of, I am an incarnate demon and I'm a this and a that and I have to do this. And I had a non-dualist explaining to me and I just kept, sharing my experience, shall we say, like you're doing. And this other person just kept just cutting me off at the knees every time I would bring stuff up. I'd be like, well, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And I didn't have the language. And you just said it yourself. See, like you're on the same. So like, again, please don't misunderstand. I'm not attacking you. I don't know how to be more sincere about this. I'm not attacking you, by the way, at all. You know, I attack words. I attack arguments. I don't know you. You're probably cool as fuck. We'd probably hang out and have a great fucking time. Trust me. You're probably cool as bitch, right? Okay. So that's an old saying, by the way. So I get it. You're using general terms that people in your sphere know, and you don't have other terms to explain it. I have both. I just don't like those terms that you're using simply because there's a lot of ways people can misinterpret it. And I can tell, and don't take this the wrong way. I don't mean to insult you at all. I can tell you've taken it like you've misinterpreted. Just by your statement, I want my abilities and powers back is all. You've never lost them. You never had them. Powers and abilities are an illusion. You are the divine manifesting your shackles. You are the divine that has manifested limitation. You're not broken. You're not trapped. You're not flawed. You're playing a game with yourself. The game of I am weak trying to regain my power. And that's a beautiful, fun game. By all means, continue. But I'm giving you the key to that shackle. If you don't want to take the shackle off, by all means, keep doing it the hard way. I did. For years and years and years until I went basically I was so disillusioned by the struggle that by the end of that, I put it all away. I gave it all up. I went to a place where I thought, you know what? I must be insane because stuff that I thought worked suddenly doesn't. What's going on? And I just started to crack. And my psychological defense mechanism was to shunt it off and make it a shadow and deny it and say, spirituality is bullshit. The only thing that's real is science, technology, and all that, because I can wrap my head around that, and that's reliable. That works. When I flip the light switch, the light goes on. But when I do the spell, it doesn't always work. What am I doing wrong? Well, magic isn't a machine. It's not a computer program. It's none of those things. It's not energy being shot around. It's psychic. Psychic things, it's all psychological. Psychology is magic. It's a psychological thing. And you can't control it the way you control the light switch on your wall or the energy in a circuit. You can't control it like that. It's something intuitive. It's something spontaneous and intuitive to your own soul, to your own being that has to happen. And you can't make it happen by lighting candles. You can't make it happen by saying words in a mirror. You can't make it happen at all. You are a shadow puppet, and the shadow can't change the puppeteer. Do you get it? You're a shadow. The person you think you are is a shadow on the wall. And so long as you identify with that shadow on the wall, you can't do anything except what the shadow on the wall does. You are ultimately the thing that's making the shadow puppet. But so long as you identify with the shadow on the wall, that shadow is limited. Two shadows cannot influence each other. Go up to a wall and have a light shining on a wall and put your hand in front of it and make a shadow puppet and have your hands like this and try to clap. Do they make a sound? No, but they'll look like they should on the wall, won't they? Because the shadows will do that, but they won't. To actually make the clap, you got to clap your hands. The metaphor is simple. This is a shadow. The divine that you are and everything between that and here is more real. That is what does it. So you, this shadowy being, this manifestation, can't do it. You can't do it. That's why every religion tells you to submit to the divine, doesn't it? The left-hand path just cuts out the middleman and says, you're that. Stop being this. Ignore this. Someone say the no-hand path. I don't give a fuck anymore. People got their tribal mentality about that. I don't care. This is a shadow. And a shadow cannot make another shadow do anything. This is all just one big shadowy puppet show on the wall. No shadow can influence any other shadow no matter how hard it pushes. You didn't lose your power. You didn't lose your abilities. Expert Xennial never had them. D.H. Thorne has no power at all. None. People are like, Thorne's a powerful sorcerer and all this. Chill out. Thorne has no power at all. I never claimed to. Never. And if I did, I was just being hyperbolic. I don't think I did. Yeah, you could go fact check my videos. Maybe I've said it, but It doesn't, in my brain, it's not, my mind, it's not wired that way. Sometimes my ego goes, I am cool. Look at this. I've got all these people. And then I go, all right, dummy. It's just a puppet show, guy. Chill out. Stop taking credit. So the divine that you are already has its power. It already has its abilities. But those two are illusory. The divine manifests what it will. And if it wants to manifest powerlessness and an adventure of trying to get back power, then it will do that. That is why I keep telling you, you can have that experience all day long. But if you're smart, if you're wise, you will realize that it's like a video game. Does Link in The Legend of Zelda have any power at all? No, he's just a bunch of pixels on a screen. He's not, doesn't even exist. He's not real. There's no Ganon to fight. Link is powerless. He can't even act on his own. He needs you. Well, the same thing applies here. It's the same idea. It's the same metaphor. But isn't it not fun to play that game? Isn't it fun to play Zelda and all these other video games to have the illusion of real danger and challenge? And of course it is. That's a microcosmic reflection of what the divine is doing. We, as divinity incarnate, being a microcosm, being a microcosmic reflection of the divine, we create microcosmic reflections of our own divinity in our own experience. So we have dreams and video games and adventures. It's like a fractal microcosm, macrocosm, microcosm, all the way down. It's turtles all the way down. If you get the reference, you get a brownie. I know Eddie gets the reference. He's not here, I don't think, tonight. So a lot of people mistake their hallucinations, I shouldn't say hallucinations, that's the wrong word. Their delusions. A lot of people mistake their delusions for reality. They mistake the thing that they see for the reality when it's just the shadow of the reality. People say, I saw Lucifer. No, you didn't. You saw a shadow of Lucifer. You've never seen Lucifer. I saw my friend at the store. No, you didn't. You saw a shadow of your friend. You never saw your friend. This is why every week, week after week after week after week, every live stream, I'm saying the same things. What I'm telling you, go grab your favorite esoteric tradition, the legitimate ones. Go grab any one of them. I'm basically taking you to the end of the story every Thursday. Because at the end, if you do all the Golden Dawn rituals and all of that shit, you get to the same place that a person sitting in India hitting the Turiya state and realizing they're the divine. It's the same thing. I'm telling you how the story ends, because not many people like to do that. Maybe it's because I prefer the Eastern traditions, at least for this point, at least for this purpose, because they're more direct. They don't go through all these hoops. They just say, you know, you're God, right? No? Okay, here's how you find out. So every Thursday, I am giving you the secret. Every single Thursday. I sound like a broken record because there is no bigger open secret that makes all of this work. Once you realize your divinity, it literally doesn't matter what techniques you use. That is to say, you realize that any technique is equal to any other. There is no better school of magic. There is no better tradition. There's no better spell. In a way, Jockster, yeah, it always does, because there is no beginning or ending. Think of it like a singularity. Is there a front or a back to singularity? No. It's literally just, it's just there. And again, experts, and you sound just like me 30 years ago. If you heard the stories of my past lives, you'd understand. I'm just trying to get back my powers from my prior life. I just want to be that fallen angel being again. I just want to be like that. I want to be able to fly and hurl lightning bolts and all the stuff I saw in the past life regression stuff. I'd like to have, and so what did I do? I'd sit there trying to learn all. I'd try to practice, try to do it. Yep. And I would struggle and, you know, I would suffer because I thought it was that. Little did I know that my actual power is the ability, just like yours, just like everyone's, to literally slide into any timeline or paradigm that we want. That's the power. The power is not this. This is not power. That was me sliding into a timeline where that happened. Every Thursday. Thank you, Raquel. Yeah, I definitely like parts of the Norse stuff, but not all of it. It doesn't resonate for me very well. Probably my favorite part about Norse stuff is Odin. And then, of course, I love like Fenrir. I love, the bad guys, basically. Because I don't even see them as bad. I see them as the necessary foil. They're part of the balance. And, they're literally the repercussions of the gods' mistakes, basically. If you that's what I like about Norse mythology, though, is it's always full of its own hubris. In other words, the good guys aren't really that good. So like Odin, Thor, all these guys, they are always deeply flawed characters, aren't they? And everything that they've done comes back to haunt them in Ragnarok. It's not that Fenrir's bad. It's that Fenrir was made to be bad by the way that they treated him, and you just see this over and over and over again. And that's what's cool about it, because that's the value of the myth, is you start to say like, okay, be careful of my own hubris, right? Be careful of my act. Every action has a consequence. And the gods, despite all their power, despite their power and wisdom, they are just as fallible as we are. That's what I love about it. Yeah, Loki's horse kids. Yep. But don't forget, Odin's not even really part of the original pantheon of the Norse tradition. He appears, I forget what year he really starts to appear, but he's obviously, they folded him in from the other Germanic mythology. And originally Odin wasn't there from my knowledge. I have to look it up again. There's some guy like Arith Hager and some other guys that do the really cool stuff about Norse stuff. They'll tell you that like Odin is Wotan and was folded into the Norse tradition. I don't remember the year, but it wasn't originally there. That was added much later. And, you know, it's pretty interesting actually. But even in the Norse pantheon, all of this idea that we're children of the gods and that the gods are children of other gods, and it goes all the way back to the beginning. You do realize that in the ancient mind, I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. This is like some Manly P. Hall shit. In the ancient mind of man, the story of childrening of the divine is their metaphor for union, is their metaphor for non-duality. So in the ancient cultures, whenever they would say, let's take the Greek myth because it's more obvious there. You had primordial chaos from which springs forth the first primordial gods, and then the Titans and so on. And they spring forth, they emanate out of, they are born of, they are children of. And when they say children, they don't mean separate. They mean children like a limb of a tree is a child of the tree. Like this finger is a child of the hand, and this hand is a child of the arm, and so on. That's how they mean it. So what they're telling you is actually something very Platonic, it's actually in my current metaphysics, which is we're all alters, like alternate personalities of the divine. And it happens in a hierarchical fashion. So you have the divine, which is this impersonal infinity. Then it emanates or incarnates or whatever as some, you know, the Hindus would call it Ishvara. The Jews call it, you know, Yahweh, the great spirit, whatever your pinnacle deity is. And then it just keeps having alternate personalities below that. And it just keeps doing that. And some die, some just, and they don't really die. If you do your Greek mythology, you understand that deities don't die. What happens is they fade away, or they can be broken apart and scattered. And that's the only kinds of death the divine experiences. It's not actually death. It's they're forgotten, or they become other deities. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. And now apply that to humanity. Because in a sense, we are that too. We're just incarnate like this. Yeah. So think about that. Every single tradition going back has a similar concept. And that is what is meant by the childrening, or the we're all children of the gods. That's what that means. And you can experience that. You can look back. That's one of the things that's so cool about the Norse tradition is they would look back and be like, somewhere down the line, I'm a child of Odin. Somewhere down the line, I'm a child of Loki or whatever. And the average person might not have known this, but what would you call it? The vulva and the people, whatever they called them, the vulva. I don't know, guys. It's not my tradition. I don't want to butcher it, but you know what I'm saying. The spiritual leaders knew it though. They understood what it meant. They all knew that we were all one family, and that family means one divinity, one being. What at the end of the rainbow, it all comes from the same thing. We're all the same thing. We're all manifestations of the same thing. This is why, if you really want to get serious about magic and mysticism, learning about comparative religion it's going to take you places. And if you can transcend in one tradition, you can then see every tradition the same. This is why I can untangle most traditions very easily, because I've already transcended through the more Eastern path. So I've figured out my divinity, and now I'm working my way around to all these other traditions, plugging in that understanding and realizing the Hermeticists are telling me the same thing that the Vedics are telling me, the Gnostics, the Neoplatonists, every culture is telling me the same thing. They're just telling it to me in their own metaphors, and then our modern society butchers the understanding and takes the stories literally, and that's why we have crazy people. Literally. You're all insane because they made you that way, because they've twisted the myth into a bunch of dualistic, materialistic, literal dogma. They've driven you insane. So, what do you do about it? This is why every Thursday I keep trying to get you guys to transcend the superficiality of the illusion. This is why every single Thursday I have the same story. Because a lot of you guys get it, and a lot of you guys don't. And I wouldn't be doing my job as a lightbringer, teacher, whatever, if I was telling you what you wanted to hear. I'm trying to give you the master key to all magic. You can call it non-duality. You can call it henosis. You can call it oneness, whatever the fuck word you want. That realization of divinity in a non-dual monist union kind of way, that is the master key of all esoteric, magical, sorcerous things, because that is the only way that they can work. If you think magic works because you're pushing invisible energy around with your soul cock, because it usually has to do with the phallus, does it not? If you think you're literally shooting energy around with your spiritual cock, trying to get the universe to do what you want, like you're some kind of bully pushing it around, you're going to be sitting here bumping around in the dark for the rest of your life. And when you die, you're going to, fuck, I guess I got to do it again. Trying to save you a step. I actually had an epiphany today, and I don't know if this is true. I'm going to have to follow this into where it goes. Maybe some of you guys already done the research on this and can tell me. But I had this feeling today like, okay, there's a lot of traditions that make a big deal about, semen retention, no FAP, no orgasm, part of tantric practices, for example, is to, have union with someone and don't orgasm, etc. And that's a way to raise the energy without depleting it and so on. Then it occurred to me, what if I've been going about certain things all wrong? Hear me out. For example, when I'm trying to practice telekinesis, and I've gotten it to work once or twice in my life, and I can't get it to work regularly, I got to admit. Like, that's a dream power I wish I had. I wish I could do that one. And I'll try to do it, and I can feel the magnetism in my hands. I can feel these things, and I can just about. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. Maybe instead of trying to feel magnetism, I should feel an orgasmic feeling rising through me and out my hand. So I'm going to try working with a slightly tantric. The objective is not to not orgasm. The objective is to understand that the orgasm is a manifestation of divine energy or divine presence or divine consciousness, whatever. Again, I just said this whole speech about how that's not really energy, but we still have to see it that way, because down here, that's the way it looks. So that orgasmic feeling is like the energy I'm trying to tap into. So what if telekinesis feels like an orgasm when it works? Not like you come, but like that similar kind of feeling rising through your body and moving the object. I don't know. I'm going to play with it. We're going to see, because of course that means some things I can't say on YouTube, but I might have to do some experiments and see if I can get some of that energy to climb through me that way instead of the way I'm accustomed. We'll have to see if I can get some shit to happen that way. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I don't know. I'll give you guys a report if I'm right. But that would be something, wouldn't it? I mean, in a lot of like fiction, don't we imagine like a wizard or a sorcerer having like a when they're shooting their powers out? What if that's like an orgasm to that? What if it actually feels good? Not like a complete orgasm, but what if it just feels like a little bit of, like, oh yeah, right? What if, right? Maybe that's why you feel so like you make an O face. Why? How come the wizard makes an O face whenever he casts lightning bolt? Heckelitzin perfect. He says, laugh my ass off. I'm going to play with it. See? You got the joke. I'm glad somebody did. I went pretty, We Are God says, I'm down with it. Come on, everybody. This week, don't come. Somebody queue up Kamala Harris? Can somebody queue up Kamala Harris with the, don't come. So I'm going to play around. I'm going to play with it. And as soon as I feel like it's happening, I'm just going to don't come. And that should hopefully stop me, or maybe it'll make it happen. I don't know, but I'm glad you guys are laughing. This is the funny part of the show. I'm also serious though. There's a seriousness to this. Although it is pretty fucking funny. I'm going to say it right now. Oh shit. Now the ancients, they did believe that divine energy felt like orgasm. That's indisputable. Look at all of the traditions. They all say the same stuff. You've got to learn to channel your orgasmic energy up into your kundalini chakras and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And that is, that is literally how the ancients prosecuted their spiritual path in a lot of traditions. Almost every culture has a tantric variant, some form of tantra, from the Egyptians to the Indians, to the Hindu Indians, to the Native Americans, to everybody has like some kind of a sexual energy cult thing that goes on. Wonder why? And it goes back to Atlantis at least. So, gee, maybe I should stop being prude about it and start experimenting. Experimenting. Shut up. So, all right. What time is it? I think I'm getting a little woozy. 10 to 10. All right. I'm going to give you guys 10 more minutes. I love y'all. I appreciate everybody here, everybody giving me something to talk about, everybody struggling, everybody having their opinions and things, agreeing or disagreeing. It's fine. We're all just iron sharpening iron. We're all friends here. So if you guys got a question, or maybe you just disagree about something, whatever you got, bring it up. And for the next 10 minutes, I'll rant about it or something. So whatever you got in mind, or if you just want me to talk about something. Meanwhile, I haven't said hi to some people. Twisted Jack's here. Hello, Twisted Jack. We Are Gods. Heckelitzin. Atropa, of course. I'm so glad you're here, Atropa. Ninarta, what's up, brother? I saw you this whole time, but I didn't say hi. Nina the Mystic's here. The Blue Wrench. What's up, Nina Mystic? Good to see you. Let's see. Twisted Jack. What's up, Twisted Jack? I think I said hi already. Jockster. Order of the Black Dragon. What's up? Evan. Evan's been saying some good stuff, and I haven't commented on it. But what's up, Evan? Good to see you. Who'd I miss? Who the fuck I miss? Who'd I miss? Let's scrolly. I think I got everybody. Oh, well, if I missed anybody else, forgive me. You get that? I forgive me. Badash Philosophy. What's up, Badash? I don't know if you're still here. My bird's asleep, and I'm still tweeting like she's here. Yeah, it's everybody. All right, let's go see if anybody gave me a question they want. Evan asks, are you clairvoyant, Thorne? What does clairvoyant mean? I guess the textbook definition of it is you can see, you can see things, like spirit world, future, whatever, you can see it. To a degree, yes. But you can ask my wife. I have something called aphantasia, but it's not like maximal aphantasia. It's minor aphantasia. So my ability to visualize through imagination is very lackluster. It's very dim. It's very sporadic. It's very flickery. I've been working on it and I have improved. I have definitely improved. I'm starting to get so that I can sort of see like my room when I close my eyes just right. And I do it right, but I don't see it with my eyes. Like I asked my wife, I'm like, when you imagine something, can you see it? She's like, yeah. I'm like you see it like you see everything else. She's like, pretty much. I mean, like, you know, it's not perfect, but if I say there's a pink elephant standing in the living room, you can see that like with your eyes almost, but not your eyes. She's like, yeah. It's like an overlay. And I'm like, how do you know? How can you tell what's real from what's not? Because I don't see it that way. Instead, there's like an abstract knowing of what's there. It's an abstract thing. And when I do visualize, I don't see it in front of me like with my eyes. I see it somewhere back here. It's like I'm seeing it behind my head. It's a really weird feeling when I see it. Because I don't actually see it with my eyes. I see it in the back of my head. That's the only way I can put it. So it's not clear. But if I go to sleep, or if I, you know, have enough of the right stuff, then the visualization gets better. And sometimes I can actually see stuff. That's what I try to do in meditation, is at least get visual things that I see. So when it comes to being clairvoyant in that way, I don't visualize very clearly, but I can sense. I know I'm more like a blind person that can see with their ears. It's more like I have spiritual sonar, right? I don't see with visual. I don't see colors or shapes. I know it's there. I know where it is. I roughly know what it feels like, but I don't see it. I'm like a bat. It's like my third eye is blind, but it's got really good sonar, really good. Like I can tell what you're thinking. Like I see right through you. I don't see it, but like my sonar goes through you and I can tell. But when I go into like a deep trance or a dream or an astral space, I do see. But that I can't do at a normal level of awareness, a normal level of conscious, waking. I can't do it. I shouldn't say I can't. It's really hard. So I'll have a flash where I can see it and it goes away and it goes, but it's dim. It's very dim. So what I do is I do certain practices that I've been reading about. I will flicker my eyes open and closed. So I'll look at something and I'll blink. And for a couple seconds, like maybe half a second to a second, it'll stay there as like an after image. And I focus on that after image as long as I can. And I hold it as long as I can. And I'm beginning it longer, but it's still trouble. But the best thing I do that works for me is I can go in a completely pitch black room, close my eyes, wave my hands in front of my face, and I see movement. I don't know what the fuck I see because I don't see the details of my hand, but I see like a shimmering, moving, exactly following my hand's movements. I don't know if I'm imagining or if that's literally me seeing my aura through my eyes. That's the only thing I can think of because I've been doing it for years now. And if it was just a fluke, I would think it would work once in a while and then not others, or that I could fake it or something. I can't make myself see it. Like if I put my arms down at my sides and try to see it, I can't see it. But as soon as I go like this, there it is. I can see my hand. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've spent so much time doing, work with my hands to make chi balls and stuff. Like maybe they're just energized. I don't know what it is, but I can see it. So that's pretty fucking wild. And Snakes 69 says it's fixable. I think it is too, but I got to do the work, and it's a lot of work. I'm gifted in so many ways. I'm not saying that as an ego trip. I'm verifiably gifted in so many ways, but that is one of my major shortcomings. I don't have a very vivid mental picture. And I wouldn't equate, that's not the third eye. Being able to see is not the third eye. The third eye is just pure, that's a complicated thing. It's not just intuition, it's discernment. It's intuition with discernment. When your hunches are right. That's when when your third's eye open, not necessarily because you can see spirits, because some people, I can tell their third eye is slammed shut, but they can see spirits. Their intuition sucks. They don't know, they can't tell reality from their ass, but they see spirits everywhere. Well, that's something else. I don't know what that is. That's something separate. It might have to do with the third eye. Maybe it's like the third eye has ears or something. I don't know. My point is I don't think that's, because otherwise that would mean everybody who has a vivid imagination has an open third eye, and I don't buy that. Because a lot of those people are dumb. They don't, maybe their crown chakra don't work. I don't know, whatever. But I don't put a lot of stock into that stuff as literal anyway. Patchy says, been listening at work. Thank you for the 2 spot there, brother. Yeah, and Twisted Jack brings up the dealing with shitty people. You get really strong empathy, not empathy. Empathy's different. Empathy, you feel what they feel like you're feeling it. Like you share, like you sympathize and you feel it. What I'm talking about is more of a detector. It's not, I don't feel like if you feel sad, I don't feel sad. But I know what you're feeling. I can tell if I know you with any familiarity, like 5 or 10 minutes of knowing you, I get a baseline. I can start getting you perfectly. Unless my wife is just humoring me, she would admit that I'm a little scary with it. Like, yeah, okay. She said, I mean, tonight I can't even, it would take too long to explain the situation. I did some of that stuff. So it's a little scary how good I am at it. So that's my superpower magically. My superpower, that's why I'm good with spirits, because I know when they're here. I can feel them and I can sense what they want me to know. I don't hear them. That's clairaudience. I don't hear their voices and I don't see them. I just download their message and it just comes out. It kind of sucks because I want to have those wild Hollywood experiences where I see the spirit and I hear it, and it's like I get the value, but I don't get the it's like, I don't know. It's like getting the non-frills version of spirituality. You don't get the cool package around it, but you get the same product. Fuck, you know. But yeah. So someone asked if I could talk more about the hierarchy of gods. I would. Yeah, they don't create gods, but it's like, think of it like, Jockster, think of it like alternate personalities. Do some research on dissociative identity disorder and alternate personalities. And while you're at it, watch some of the work by, more recent work by Bernardo Kastrup, because he's adopted that as well, which I think is smart. Because I was thinking it for years. And when he explained it the way he put it, I'm like, yep, then I was right. In other words, I was thinking to myself, that confirms my suspicion. I think he's right. He would think I am right. The gods are altars of the divine. We are altars of the divine. Your dog is an altar of the divine. The spider running across your floor is an altar of the divine. Anything with sentience to any degree, or self-awareness to any degree, or awareness to any degree, like an amoeba, those are all altars of the divine. And if you do the research on alternate personalities and dissociative identity disorder, it will open your eyes big, because you'll be like, wait a minute. You're telling me that somebody, because this is all true, I'm about to tell you is all true. They've done studies on people with alternate personalities where they have, the person will have a dream, and in their dream, all of their alternate personalities will be there, and they'll all be in the dream. And after that, when the researchers investigate and they inquire with each one of the alternate personalities, each one of them shared the dream. In other words, they had their own subjective experience of the dream, as if there was multiple real people in it, each having their own objective, subjective interaction with it. So the apex personality, the primary altar, shall we say, has the dream, and they incarnate in the dream as their character, and they see all the other altars there. Each one of them also has their own perspective of the dream, which they can recount, and it's not made up, because they can go through, they've done the research, however they did it. I don't know the methodology, but they went through it and they confirmed that each altar is literally its own conscious being inside this one, like, like a Russian nesting doll. Each one is real in their own way, having their own experience of things. It's fucking wild. Your brain doesn't do that, guys. I'm sorry. That's not your brain doing that. Your brain ain't doing that shit. So look it up. That right there is the microcosmic form of what the divine does, dreaming it's you, me, and everybody else. It's literally that. It's the same thing, just at a divine level. God is a schizophrenic, dissociative identity disorder having motherfucker. That's what the divine is. When this starts to click, dude, you can't even take a piss the same way. I mean, for real, like everything in your life just completely changes. Everything. I've actually caught myself just smiling like those goofy Zen monks. I've caught myself sitting there and just like getting ready to take a shower. And I just find myself, oh, fuck, I have that goofy smile because I'm reaching that level where it's not constant, but I have periods of lucidity almost every day where I'm just like, this is so obvious. Why didn't I get it? This is awesome. I'm watching it. This is so cool. I'm manifest everything. It even makes it to the point where you don't care about doing sorcery and shit anymore because you just go, I'm already doing this. I don't need to do anything to make it happen. I don't have to do a ritual. I don't have to do a spell. All I have to do is just, it's something transcendent. I can't describe it. It's literally, I just shift into the reality I want to see. It's like stepping to the left or right a little bit and you're now in another universe, except it's not that vivid and it's not that perfect, but it's like that it's like you're slipping. It's like you're like, I'm going to go in this time. Okay, there I am. And it's just like a little shift of awareness and everything changes to the point where you got to be a little careful because you go where you're looking. If I'm looking at negativity, that's where I go. If I look at positivity, that's where I go. That doesn't mean you have to be oblivious to negative. I mean, what you fixate on. It's just like they say, where what you fixate on is what becomes you. So, yeah. My only issue with the side wheel We Are Gods is that there's too much conjecture that it is from heat from your hands. And I've used them very successfully a few times. But lately when I try to use them, they don't work. And it could just be because I doubt, because I think it's heat. But that shouldn't be true because when I did it the first time, I had the same thought. So when I first did it, I came home hysterical trying to get my wife to believe me because I spent the whole day making the thing spin left, right, wiggling. I could sit here with my hands behind my back looking at it. I could go left, right, left. They could do whatever I wanted. It was like, I thought I was dreaming. I was like, oh my God, I have superpowers. And then I couldn't do it again. Not reliably, I couldn't. I don't know what changed, but it just stopped. It was like something was like, here's the power, it's real. And then I looked it in the mouth like a gift horse and now it's not there anymore. I don't know. Yeah. So, but then I say, you know what? When it's time, it'll be back. Just like all the other things, I have some personal knowledge, like some personal history that I don't talk about and I won't. But you know how I say, like, I don't have a good mind's eye vision. I don't hear things anymore. You notice I said anymore just now. I had a few experiences when I was a kid that basically made it so I can't visualize very well. And so when I was a young kid, I had pretty well developed clairaudience and clairvoyance. I know I did. I heard voices. I saw things right up until I guess maybe I was like 7-ish was the last thing I got. But a couple of, to me, traumatic experiences happened and I didn't have it anymore. So I think that I shut it off, if I'm being honest. It could be like from anxiety. It could be from ADHD. It could be from anything. It could be I was traumatized and I shut that part of me off. That's possible. But someday, like Snake said, maybe I'll get it back. I just got to keep working on it. Anyway, I think I've gone past my time. So, all right, guys, I'm going to bounce tonight. Sorry about keeping it short, but we skipped over the political rant, which was probably a good thing. And we had a good time tonight. I appreciate everybody who showed up, and we should be doing this. I believe next week is fine, although sometime in October I won't be doing it at least once. I'll be away doing some other important stuff. I won't be able to do some internet things for a few days, but other than that, I guess I'll see you guys next week. And I hope you guys gained something from it. And I hope that you guys, if you didn't learn something, I hope you learned something you didn't believe. And I hope you guys are all doing well. And I don't know if I would like all of you, but I love all of you. And I hope all of you guys have a wonderful week. And I know some of you had some rough luck recently. And to those of you, I see you. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. You know who I'm talking about, those of you listening. So if you need, we can do a collection, whatever you need. If you need it, let me know. And I know, I don't want to just do it without you. Don't ask, because you might be too proud to ask. But if that's what you want, if you need it, I'll see if I can make it happen. It won't be much. Maybe just get $20, but you get some help. Anything will help, right? What's up, Gar? Didn't know you were here. So anyway, guys, I will see you next week. My voice is shot. So until next time, I'm going to talk like a high-pitched little bitch because my voice sucks. Where'd the light go? What? Oh, yeah. Oh, goodbye.